Africa Regional Office. So majorly what I actually do is I oversee the admission process and then the compliance process of applicants within West Africa. So it actually boils across we processing offers and also checking that applicants are actually credible before our UK team assign the cast to them. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I would also be introducing to you our director, Mrs. Catherine Machuku. Please, ma'am, you can have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We want to believe that this session is actually going to be very good for you. Learn a little more about the well-known Teesside University. We've brought in Abolanle today to take you through those questions you have. We saw your questions, some of you on our pages. So you will have that opportunity to ask the questions. But first things first is to get to know about us. iHub Limited, also known as International Education Hub. Personally, I've been in the industry for 15 years. Yeah, this year makes it my 15th year in the industry. So I have amassed a whole lot of experience across both the UK, US, kind of various aspects of recruitment. Based on that, of course, we've been in existence for about 3 years plus now, helping students passionate about going to study, who want to look for opportunities abroad to study, directing you through credible universities, opportunities across board, and making sure that your choices are actually done right. For us as a company, what we consider best for you is when we look at your career prospects, opportunity. Even if you want to travel for whatever reason through study, we always believe in making the right decisions at every point in time. So the choices you make at every point in time will help you to achieve that future you actually want to achieve. So that's what we are here for. Bringing you Abolanle, we believe that it is a good university for you. So you have the opportunity to, of course, ask your questions afterwards when she's done with her presentation. And then we are here for you to kickstart your journey like immediately. We have a team on ground to answer questions and, of course, start the application process with you as soon as we're done. Okay, Ifeanyi, over to you. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Actually, before we begin, or before Abolanle begins the presentation, we would like to leave some ground rules. If you do have a question, please make use of the chat box, or if you would like to speak with the advisor personally, you would have to wait until we're done with the presentation, and then you use your reactions button, and also raise your hand using the reactions button to indicate that you have some questions along the way. But while the session is ongoing, we can be able to accommodate your questions in the chat box, and we would appreciate a lot of feedback. And if you have any pending questions, please grab your pen, grab your paper, because it's about to be an educative session. So Mrs. Abolanle, over to you, ma. You can begin your presentation.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay, it's nice to have you guys here. So my name again is Abolanle, and I'm representing Teesside University today. Okay, so I'm sure most of you have heard about Teesside University. So let me begin my presentation. Okay, so this presentation is going to cross across our reputation, our students, and our learning environment, employability of some of our students, the mobility and the support, and living around Teesside University, and especially how you are able to apply for a course at Teesside University and how you are able to actually pull through the pipeline for you to get your visa and for you to settle at Teesside University after you've had your visa approved by the UK VI clearance officer. Okay, so Teesside University, firstly, from this picture, please let me just make it bigger. Hurry, please. Okay. So Teesside University, over the years, as previously, Teesside University was actually not a university. It was a polytechnic. That was around 1930. So from this picture, you can actually see how Teesside University has actually evolved over the years. From us using this first building, and over time, although this structure is actually still there, but then it is actually not like this anymore. This structure has actually evolved over the years, and then we have something looking like this. This is our student life building over here. I'm sorry. This is our student building over here. That's actually the third picture on the screen. Is our student life building. Then we have this building, which is our National Horizon Center. And then we also have this new building here. So over the years, Teesside University has actually invested in their buildings, invested in their facility to actually improve the teaching and learning of the students they actually have in their university. So Teesside University is actually, our main campus is actually located in Middlesbrough. And Middlesbrough is actually more or less like a very small town in the northeast region of England. So obviously, I know most students will actually be looking at, okay, where in the UK can I stay that is affordable? Where in the UK can I stay that is actually safe? If you're actually considering a place in the UK that is affordable, and then you're actually sure of you being safe, the security is actually okay, and actually the people in the community are actually quite friendly, then you might want to consider Teesside University. Okay, the university obviously is actually located in the heart of Middlesbrough. So it means wherever you are in Middlesbrough, Teesside University is actually walking distance wherever you are in Middlesbrough. So if you're actually trying to look at saving cost on transportation, obviously Teesside University is also a best bet for you to go to. So let's say, for instance, you are coming from the train station and you have a lecture to catch in, let's say, in the next 20 minutes. You don't actually have to worry about you not meeting up with time, because obviously the train station to where Teesside University is less than 15 minutes walk to the campus. So it's more or less like you get to see the community without you trying to spend a lot. So it's more or less like everything is actually quite accessible to you. And apart from that, also, Teesside University is actually at the Northeast region. And now the UK government is actually trying to make the Northeast region the energy hub of England. So they are actually investing more in their energy around the Northeast region. And Teesside University is actually part of the collaborators of the initiative that the UK government is actually putting in that region. So if you are looking at studying courses like sustainable energy, clean energy at Teesside University, so obviously you actually know that there's actually a facility ready for you to actually carry out experiment on some of these studies before you actually go out there to the world to put whatever you've learned at the school in the industry. So like I've mentioned, Teesside University obviously has had over 19 years of teaching and learning. But obviously, any university that has such years of experience must obviously have accumulated some kind of awards. So one thing we are actually known for is our animation career review. So recently, we are ranked number 19 in the whole world in our animation in the animation career review. So if you are looking at going into courses like animation, 2D animation, 3D animation, Teesside University is actually one of the best university you can actually think about studying. So I wish one of our course tutors is here to actually advertise some of these courses we have under our animation. I know some of you must have seen some movies like the likes of Harry Potter. If deep down behind the scene of all these kind of movies, there's one alumni of Teesside University that are actually involved in the graphics, the design of actually bringing out the film into existence. So that's actually one thing we actually pride ourselves in. And most recently, as of last year, Teesside University was awarded a TEF Gold rating. And it's actually one of the things that most people in university always strive to add. We have TEF Gold in learning excellence, TEF Gold in also in students' well-being and experience. And it's actually few schools in the UK that actually have the gold rating. Even we are actually proud to say, even some Russell Group universities in the UK don't actually have the gold status from TEF. So over the years, we've actually tried as much as possible to invest in something that would actually bring around the learning experience of our international students and obviously the home student as well. So I've actually mentioned this previously. Then also for our international students barometer is another thing we pride ourselves in. In as much as we are trying to recruit students from all over the world, another thing we actually enjoy is to ensure that our students are actually satisfied with the overall experience they actually get while they are at Teesside University. So these are some of the rankings that some of our students have actually given Teesside University over the years. So for overall happiness, Teesside University was ranked 96.3% over 100, and value for money for some of the students, they were ranked 92.9%. All these rankings are actually not done internally. This International Students Barometer is a survey whereby students, whether past students or current students, are actually involved in actually giving this feedback to the team, and they would actually evaluate based on the responses the student has provided to actually rank the university, the rank they are being given. So another thing is that we have office in almost all regions of the world. So we have offices in Nigeria, where I'm actually speaking from. We have offices in Malaysia, Pakistan, India, China, and United Kingdom. So if people have friends that obviously that is not in Nigeria, and maybe person is in India, Malaysia, they don't actually have to worry that, okay, they might not actually be getting responses on time. Obviously, we ensure that students are actually getting the required support. So that's actually why Teesside University invested in some of these regional offices to actually provide support with the aid of the agents to some of these students. So they actually have, like, they don't have to be in the UK while they are submitting the application or getting an update. They can actually get this information locally to wherever they are in the world. So these are some of our partners over the years. These are some of our partners over the years, whereby some of our students are able to actually have internship. Some of our students can have like a form of a TNI partnership with some of these universities. So it's more or less like some of these our students are able to do some exchange program with some of these universities. Some of them are able to do some internship with some of the companies mentioned on over the screen. So everybody, you have this question about, like, is Teesside University the right option for you? So I'm not talking as a representative of Teesside, but obviously my answer is going to be yes. Teesside University is actually the right option for you, apart from what I've actually mentioned before. So I'm going to actually mention more things about Teesside University to let you know that Teesside University is actually the right option for you, and actually trying to make the right investment over the course of your study to come and study at Teesside University. We pride ourselves in our international team. So over the years, we have diverse international teams. So you don't actually have to worry that if you are going to Teesside University, maybe you'll be the only Black person in school, or maybe you'll be the only white person in school, or maybe there are more white people over there. But that for Teesside University, we always try as much as possible to strike the balance. We have mixed classrooms of learnings, whereby you actually meet people from different countries, people from different backgrounds, people that have different cultural perspective from you. And you guys actually we actually come together in the same classroom to actually learn. And obviously, over the years, our graduates are actually very ambitious. They actually work hard to graduate and have the knowledge and confidence to actually put themselves out there in the industries. Like I've mentioned some of our examples, that some of our past alumni are actually the face behind some of these major movies that we actually are watching when it comes to animation, graphics. Most of our alumni are actually, there is actually no one new film that is actually being produced, that there is no alumni of Teesside University behind the scene of such movie. And I would give an example over the course as I'm going on. So another thing you need to know is that our learning experience are actually digitally enabled, as we have modern and vibrant campus. So apart from us, we are used to having our learning with our hard copy books and all that. But then at Teesside University, it's actually not like that. all our courses, most of the times, are actually digitally enabled. So anywhere you are, you can have access to some of your classroom resources on your blackboard. Obviously, once you have an offer and you are enrolled, you have access to all these things. And another good thing about Teesside University, in the whole of Europe, Teesside University was the first university that is actually an Adobe enabled university. So there are other universities in Europe that are now becoming Adobe enabled, but Teesside University was actually the first university in the whole of Europe, not just in the UK, in the whole of Europe, to actually become an Adobe enabled campus. So I've actually mentioned this. So if you are looking at coming into our undergraduate study, you might actually want to look at coming to study. What is it that I actually have? What is it that is actually, am I going to get specifically because I'm actually an undergraduate student? So another thing is that if you're coming to study in our undergraduate student, whether you're coming for the foundation year or you're coming to study at year 1 or year 2, you will have access to a free iPad for the course of your study, and you have an up to £300 per academic year credit of learning resources. So this £300 is actually not given as cash. So it's more or less like you have access to it to actually resource for any learning resources that you need to pay for. So you have this coupon of up to £300 to actually have access to these resources. So if you intend to get something that will enable your learning and is actually not free, so with this coupon, you are able to actually buy that without having to use money from yourself to buy such resources. So I've mentioned us being the first Adobe Creative Campus in the whole of Europe. So once you are getting if you're an undergraduate student, they are getting an iPad. So it means that the iPad obviously is enabled with most of Adobe tools for you to make use of and to up your learning while you're studying at Teesside University. So this is also talking about ranking the International Student Barometer. Us ranked first out of 131 global universities, like I mentioned earlier. So all these rankings are not just done internally, they are externals, because obviously the International Student Barometer will actually collect views of various international students to actually give universities these rankings. So at Teesside University, we offer various courses across our schools. We have 5 academic schools. So we have the School of Arts, Creative Industries, which is commonly called SACI. We have the School of Computing, Engineering and Digital Technologies, which is abbreviated as SCEDT. And we have the School of Health and Life Sciences, which is abbreviated as SHLS. And we have the School of Social Sciences, Humanities and Law, which we often call the SSHL. And then we have the Teesside University International Business School. Okay, so apart from us having this academic school, most of our courses actually have 2-year masters for people trying to go for the undergraduate courses, and most of our undergraduate courses have foundation year. So it means that, there are some UK universities where you would actually need to do an international year 1, maybe with a study center before you are actually admitted directly into year 1. But at Teesside University, most of our courses have foundation year incorporated. So it just actually means that if you have your whole level results and you meet the entry requirements of a particular course you intend to apply for, you can apply directly to come to Teesside University without having to go through a study center to apply for an international year 1, where you will be needed to take an IELTS before you are admitted. But at Teesside University, because we already have some of our foundation year incorporated into some of our undergraduate courses, so all you just need to provide is your O-level results, where you've actually met the entry requirements and the English language requirements, and you'll be qualified to apply for the foundation year of the particular course. This just means that instead of spending 3 years for the course, you get to spend 4 years, but then be rest assured that you're coming directly to Teesside University. So it's more or less like you're not guaranteed the progression. It means after your foundation, because you're admitted directly at Teesside University, you're obviously going to progress to the next section. So our postgraduate courses, we have the 1-year masters and the 2-year masters. So yes, you might want to ask, what is the difference between the 1-year and the 2-year masters? They are actually both similar courses. They are actually the same courses where you actually learn the same course modules. But the only difference is actually that our 2-year masters, obviously popularly called our advanced practice courses, have the 3-month internship in it. So let me use a scenario. Okay, so myself and let's use Ifeanyi as the next person. We both are trying to apply to Teesside University. I applied for MA Education, 1-year course, and Ifeanyi applied for MA Education with advanced practice, that is 3-year course. We applied for September intake and we both got admissions. We've actually come into Teesside University. At semester 1, we both do the same courses. At semester 2, I go back to school, I do my dissertation, and I do my free coursework. At semester 2, Ifeanyi is actually off campus on holiday because she's actually going for the 2-year master's. Then, after I finish my own dissertation for this semester 2, I've actually finished my dissertation. Then, at that point, I'm trying to graduate. So, semester 3 would come, Ifeanyi will resume back to school and actually go for a 3-month internship. With 3 months internship, this 3-month internship can be on campus. That's if you're actually trying to look into something academic, you can decide to do the internship on campus. But if you're trying to look at something outside academics, maybe you're trying to consider something industrial, you actually have to do the internship somewhere else. So, but one thing is that although Teesside University does not guarantee the internship, but one thing we actually ensure we do is to actually guide our students, help them prepare their CV, let them prepare for the interviews, should in case maybe if they need to be interviewed before they can get the internship access. We give them all the resources they actually need to actually get the internship in a particular company they intend at. So once they finish the internship in semester 3, Ifeanyi comes back to school to do her dissertation and last module, and she's done. So that's actually just the major difference between our 1-year masters and the 2-year masters. And we are trying to look at the cost aspect of it. If I'm going for the 1-year master, my tuition fee for that year is £17,000. So it means I have to pay my £17,000 within that 1 year of my study. But if I am going for the 2-year master, her tuition fee is £10,000 per year. So she's not paying the whole £20,000 for 1 year. She gets to spread the £20,000 in the course of 2 years of her studies. So that's another difference between our 1-year and 2-year masters. So apart from us having foundation year programs for our undergraduate courses, we also have top-up degrees on selected courses for applicants that have HND that actually don't want to do a pre-masters before going directly into a master's. You can consider doing a top-up, and after the top-up program, whereby you'll be able to have a BSc degree or a BNG degree, then you apply using that for a master's degree if you intend to apply for a master's program. Okay, so we also have the university accommodation. So we have the corner quarter, which is our recent accommodation. Obviously, the rooms over there is actually ensuite. So it means that if you are going to the corner quarter, it means you have the room, the toilets to yourself. You don't have to share anything with anybody. And obviously, if you are going for a corner quarter, all bills are included in our bill. So it means you don't get to pay for light, you don't get to pay for internet, you don't get to pay for washing, because obviously the building already has all these resources in them already. And also, these are some of the pictures of some of our buildings. So this is actually called the Cove, and this is our student life building. So the student life building is where students can actually get support regarding anything, whether it is considering your mental health, well-being, community outreach. The student life building is actually there to support students in whatever way they can. Then we also, this is how at Teesside University International Business School is like now. And this is how our library is. So our library is just like it's not like the normal conventional library. We actually make our library in a way that when students are actually there, they actually have feel being at home, so they can actually read and actually understand. So everything is not just about book. There are also digital tools in our library to actually aid this learning of our students. And people that are actually trying to go into our Saki, maybe you are into arts and design, we have a Nima. Nima is, sorry about that. Okay. Nima is our School of Art and Design. It's a school of art and design, obviously, but it is actually with Teesside University. So if you are somebody trying to go into arts, creative arts, you get to make, you have like a laboratory in the NEMA building for you to actually utilize for your study as well. So these are just a few pictures of how the school looks like. And then also another major investment we've actually put ourselves out into is the Net Zero Industry Innovation Center. So you remember I mentioned before that Teesside, the UK government are actually trying to make a space for of energy, clean energy in the northeast region of the UK. Teesside University has a Net Zero Industrial Innovation Center that is in collaboration with the UK government, whereby students have access to make use of this facility in ensuring how best they can actually produce clean energy, sustainable energy for the environment. So if you are an applicant trying to go into the clean energy, sustainable innovation, you would have access to utilize this particular center while we are studying at Teesside University. So we also have a particular building dedicated only for our postgraduate students. So it's actually exclusive for our postgraduate students, where they are able to just go there to relax, to collaborate. It is not a teaching building. It is called the Bottery. So it's actually, if you have something, you just want to go there to relax, you don't want to go to the library, you can actually utilize the Bottery as long as you are a postgraduate student at Teesside University. Then another major investment Teesside actually just did is the BOWS. So if you are a student that is actually going into science, courses like anatomy, pharmacy, microbiology, chemistry, you have access to utilize this particular new building just recently created for actually people that are into sciences and clinical settings. So you have access to make use of world-class laboratories, innovative tools for you to utilize your study. So when it comes to learning environment for students, Teesside University always strive as much as possible to ensure that they're actually providing the quality equipment and the best learning environment for their students. Okay, so I think I will skip that. So Teesside University, obviously, they don't need to wait after the graduation to build their experience, knowledge, and CV, because we have people that are actually there to help you develop that. The student life building are there to help you. If you need help assessing your CV, like making it better for the UK job market, the student life building is there to help you even before you graduate. So you don't actually have to graduate to actually have access to how you can actually build your experience, your knowledge, and graduation. We actually have people, expert on ground, to actually help you move this smooth transition from whichever country you are. If you are looking at landing a job outside the UK, landing a job in your home country, and to give you actually an edge above your competitors, the student life building is actually there to actually support you in all this. So let me just keep into the major courses that we have, so I won't bore you. So like I mentioned before, that we have diverse students, and another thing we give our students is the students' mobility opportunity. Over the years, we've had some of our international students do like an exchange program in countries. So like recently, there are students from psychology that were able to go to India with our ADI, that's the Associate Dean International for International Business School, went with the ADI to India to actually just have like an exchange program. They get to speak with other students that are actually not studying at Teesside University, that are actually studying at India, and they just kind of have this exchange. So Teesside University always ensure that they actually give these initiative to international students, not just limited to their home countries. But obviously, there has always been a major restriction because of, obviously, maybe if you are coming from Nigeria or the likes of Ghana, there are some restrictions to getting visas to some of these countries. But then one thing they always ensure is that in a situation where there is no restrictions, they ensure that they invite some of these international students to actually come for these exchange programs. And we've seen some international students go to countries like USA, the likes of Ireland, the likes of India, even with their Nigerian visa, and still come back to Teesside University to complete their study. So it's more or less like to enable them have this feel of having an exchange program between somebody else outside their own country. So it's just to help their learning and to help them develop themselves before they prepare to go into the industry. Okay. So you'll be wondering that the Teesside University offer any scholarship, in as much as some of our scholarships are not given automatically. So these are some of the scholarships that international students might be eligible for. So we have the Vice Chancellor Scholarship that is valued over £7,000 off your tuition fee for the first year. This is not given automatically, and students would need to apply for this Vice Chancellor Scholarship. So what you need to do if you intend to apply for this Vice Chancellor Scholarship is to write an essay about yourself, your personal and academic achievements, how studying this particular course at Teesside University will help you achieve your future career plan, and your own personal contribution to actually in the community, and how you can actually use your personal situation to help develop Teesside community as a whole. So that's actually what the essay is going to be all right. It's just about 500 words essay about this. And if your essay is outstanding, you'll be eligible for this £7,000 discount off your tuition fee. Then we have the African Excellence and the Global Excellence Scholarship that is valued at £2,000. These two are also not given automatically, but you don't have to apply for this. All you need to do is to ensure you submit a quality application. You have your documents complete, your CV, your previous work experience, your personal statement, everything are intact. So it means like if you have large pool of students, our scholarship team tends to review what you've submitted to see if you are going to be eligible for this particular discount. Sorry, please. We also accept external scholarship from the likes of British Council, Commonwealth, Chevron, and more. Let's assume you are getting a scholarship from your own country, from the likes of NDCCC, or if you are from Ghana, you have the Ghana Secretariat Scholarship. We accept that at Teesside University. All you need to do is to provide the sponsorship letter from such organization and present to us, whereby we are actually going to verify that indeed the scholarship was issued by this particular organization to you. And once that is acceptable by our compliance team, then your CAS will be assigned to you for you to apply for your visa. So in as much as we try as much as possible to accept diverse external scholarship, we can accept scholarship from private organizations as long as they have an international presence. So if you have a private organization that is just domiciled in Nigeria, we'll likely not be able to accept that. It's just more or less about the credibility. But what we can advise our students to actually do is that if you have maybe your company, maybe they don't actually have an international presence and they intend to sponsor you, we can accept that they sponsor you, but all they just need to do is to ensure they pay your tuition fee directly to the university. If they are unable to give you the tuition fee directly, and all they need to do is to ensure they give you your living expenses for you to maintain in your account for 28 days so that you can actually have a successful visa application. So one thing Teesside University pride themselves in is they are actually UK VI compliance. That's actually why our level of visa refusal is actually very low. If you have an 100 or 1,000 pool of students, you might end up having just about 2 people that have visa refusal. And obviously, some of these visa refusals have been overturned by UKVI. Maybe it's a mistake from UKVI. And just we have few, maybe might have been caused by maybe negligence on the students. But if you're applying with an agent, such as the IE Hub Limited, obviously, you don't really have to worry about you not knowing the right documents to use to apply for your visa. So that's the essence of us recommending that you actually apply with agents that actually know what they are doing and actually know the process of the application and the visa application for you to actually have a successful visa application. We also have a flexible payments plan. whereby you can actually decide to pay your fee in full, or you can pay up to 3 or 5 installments. So I would explain this further. Okay, so let's say for instance, you are enrolling for January start date and you've paid your initial deposits of £4,000, which we accept. So and you've fully enrolled, you've gotten your visa and you've arrived on campus, and your course start date is around January 16 for you to resume on campus. So after you've enrolled for your course, you don't get to pay your fee immediately upon enrollment, because enrollment starts from the day of your resumption, your course start date, up until 2 weeks after your course start date. So you don't have to pay additional fee upon your enrollment. We allow you settle, and your next payment will come in February. If you choose to go for the 3 installment payments, your next payment comes in February for you to pay your next installments. And then the next payments would not be made in March. You make the next payments in April. Then after April, you will not make any payments in June. You make the next payments you will not make any payments in May, sorry. You make the next payments in June. So it's more or less like you have up to 6 months to make the payments. So it's just like it's 3 installments, but there's a gap between each month for the 3 installments payments. But if you choose to go for the 5 equal installments payments, it's still within the course of, let's say, 6 months, because you pay your next installment in February. If you are going for the January start date, you won't get to pay and make any payments in May. You make the next payments in April, then you make the next payments in May, then June, July. So in all, it's still up to 6 months installment payments, but just that for the 3 installments, there's a break in between each month. But if you choose to go for the 5 equal installments, there's only break within the first month after making the payments for the first month, and every other ones have to come consecutively. Another thing is that while you are choosing the installment payment plan, you actually need to communicate with the finance team. Communication is actually very important. Students actually get notification when they are due for their installment payments. And if you have any reasons that might not make you meet up for your next installment, it's actually important for you to communicate ahead of time. So because obviously the school tends to send up to 2-3 installments before they can actually, because obviously all UK universities are mandated to actually report students, obviously, that don't have access to coming to school. So it's more or less like if you're not paying your tuition fee, you might be blocked access to some of your courses. And if you have missed your courses up to a certain period of time, UK university are mandated to actually report to UKVI that this actually particular person has actually not been coming for classes. So that's actually why we mentioned that communication is important. So for you not to be blocked access from coming to school, or because obviously a security personnel will not be at the door preventing you from entering. Obviously, you just be blocked access to accessing all your learning materials, because obviously all these things are done digitally. So you don't have to say that, okay, the security didn't allow me. You'll just be removed access automatically. So for this not to happen, it's actually important that you actually communicate to the finance team. There's usually reminders sent to students upon their next installment payments. And if you're having issues, or maybe if you are struggling at that point, maybe there's a genuine reason for you not to meet up at that point, it's important that you actually communicate this particular thing to them, so that at least if they are able to consider an extension for you, they would consider doing that rather than they removing you access to your learning resources. So one thing I would also emphasize again is the communication. Please always ensure you communicate to the team. And if you're having issues while you're at school, the student life building, as I've mentioned, is actually there to actually support students, and also the regional office and obviously the agents that actually supported you in getting your application and visa to study at the UK and at Teesside University. So I've mentioned about you living in Teesside, it's been friendly, it's been cost effective for you. So if you are looking at considering a place that actually is cost effective, Teesside University, our Middlebrough campus is actually the best place for you to consider. And as well, we also have the London campus, although the London campus is not our main campus, and we have few courses that is run at our London campus. We have some few business courses, and we have some few computing courses. So we don't have any engineering courses, any education courses run at the London campus, just strictly some few business courses and computing courses for our London campus. And our London campus have more intake compared to our Middlesbrough campus. So we have intakes in November for the London campus, we have for September, we have for January, and we have for May intake as well for our London campus. So if you are still looking at coming to Teesside University in November, you might want to consider the London campus, as we are still assigning cars for students for that intake. And if you are thinking of going at January for January intake, you can submit an application now with the aim of you getting your class on latest if you are able to meet the offer condition and provide your maintenance documents for you to get your class latest in October for you to apply for your visa, because you can obviously apply for a visa up from 6 months up to your course start date, just that you get to travel 1 month to your course start date. Okay, so I've mentioned about our location. So I'm just skipping some things so that I can be fast with the presentation. So I would actually now move on to the application process itself. So one major thing we advise applicants to do is when you want to apply for a particular course, is actually to ensure you do your research. That's actually why you have agents to actually guide you through, because obviously I know some of us might be a little bit confused, or maybe you're not actually, you're undecisive as to what you actually want to do currently. But when you apply to an agent, they are able to actually guide you and actually provide suggestion on different routes you can actually go to actually make your application journey very seamless for you. So ensure you do your research. Then after you've done your research, you can make a short list of the course you intend to apply for. In as much as we know that applicants wants to apply for more than one course, maybe they can want to apply for 3 courses. That is one thing that might cause a compliance concerns, because obviously, if you're applying for 3 courses that actually don't have similarities, our compliance team might have concerns as you not being a genuine student, because obviously, in their own perspective, they feel, okay, if you are coming to apply for a course, obviously you have a clear plan of what you want to do. That's actually why you are coming to apply for this particular course. So rather than you applying for multiple courses, if you're unsure, that's actually why you have the agent to help you and to guide you, to help you streamline, okay, which course is right for you. Obviously, you will discuss what your career aspiration is to them, and they can actually make suggestions based on their experience to tell you which particular courses that is relating to your career plan you are eligible to apply for. So after you've done your research and you've made a search list, so the next thing is obviously for you to submit an application. And one thing we can assure you from our office is if you submit your application today, within 2 working days, you'll get a decision on your application, except if, peradventure, we actually need to send the application to an academic tutor to make a decision on application. So let me just make a scenario. Our project management course, although our entry requirements mentions that they can accept some business courses onto our project management MSc courses, but if you carefully check the course modules actually streamline more into the engineering aspects of project management. So let's say, for instance, I'm applying for project management and I'm coming from a chemical engineering background. I submit my application today. Within 2 working days, I would get a decision on my offer. But let's assume I'm coming from, I studied business administration in my first degree, and I have like good up to 3-4 years, 5 years work experience in project management. There might be a little bit delay in my application, because although the entry requirements mention that they can accept business courses, but because the course module is streamlined more towards engineering, it is important that our academic team send the application to the school directly to review this particular person's application, to check if the person will not struggle if they are given an offer for this course, because the course module obviously has more of engineering stuff applicants need to study. And if you are coming from a business background, you might struggle with some of these things. So that's actually why we need to send some of these courses to our academic school. So they would actually get to review this check your transcript, check your work experience, and be sure that, okay, this person will not struggle if they are giving an offer for this particular course. So when the application is returned to us, then an offer can now be made. So that's only in some scenario whereby there might be a little bit delay in the application. So people don't really have to worry. Let's say, for instance, you don't get your offer within 2 working days, or you apply for courses like nursing, social work, all these kind of courses, we don't give an instant offer for them, because for our nursing courses, this application needs to be sent to the school, because obviously applicants needs to be invited for an interview. If you are coming for our nursing courses, if you are coming for our social work courses, you need to be invited for an interview, and at the same time, you need to actually do a written exercise before you can be considered for an offer. So let's say, for instance, I intend to apply for MSc nursing. We accept any applicants from any background. So if you've studied English language in your first degree, you can apply for our MSc nursing, as long as you have up to 500 hours working experience in healthcare. So the working experience does not necessarily have to be paid. It can be internship, it can be something you volunteer to do. So it doesn't necessarily have to be paid. So if you have up to 500 work hours experience, you are eligible to apply. So all you need to do is to fill a portfolio that will actually be on the application form for you to download, then submit the application. And at the same time, you need to write a strong personal statement for our nursing courses, our social work courses, and most of our courses relating to health and social care. You really need to write a strong personal statement for it, because those courses are actually very competitive. And because of placement for those courses are actually guaranteed, the university always ensure that they actually progress the quality students into that program. So it's more or less like there's actually competition for that course, and there's always like limited numbers, because obviously, because there's a guaranteed placement for those applicants, so many applicants would apply for it. And obviously, it's not all applicants that would actually get the offer or progress to get a visa. So that's actually why the competition is always high. So you really need to write your personal statement. You make it a very strong one. And if you are going for the MSc nursing, you really need to complete a portfolio of work experience, because obviously, if you have the work experience, voluntary or paid work experience, you'll be able to, it will help you fill the portfolio carefully, because normally MSc nursing courses is 3 years, but because of the portfolio, they expect that you already have the work experience. So they are skipping 1 year out of the 3 years, because they feel you already have the work experience. So you get to study for 2 years for the MSc nursing. So if you don't have work experience, so if they are considering you for 2 years, they will feel that this person would struggle. So that's the essence of them asking applicants to complete the portfolio, and applicants being interviewed before they are actually given a space. So all this kind of application, there is no guarantee that you get your offer decision made within 2 working days. But our general courses, like the likes of engineering, our business courses, courses under Saki as well, some of the courses under our creative industry as well. Also, if you are applying for courses like MA design, MA photography, all these courses are professional courses. And since you are coming to apply at the master's level, they expect that you have a little bit of experience or a little bit of passion for it. So it's more or less like you are applying for MA finance and you actually know nothing about finance. So for this kind of courses, they expect you to provide portfolio of your work. So it's more or less like, I'm coming for finance. All you need to do is to gather some of your drawings that you've done before and submit it at the point of application. So our course tutor would obviously review that to be sure that, okay, this person is going to be very fine while studying this particular course. If you're applying for courses like MA design can be anything different. You might be a fashion designer and you want to actually study MA design. They will expect you to provide a few portfolio of your work experience. So it must more or less like, let's assume I'm a fashion designer, I actually sew clothes. They want to see the process you use in sewing that clothes. They want to see what actually brought the idea of this particular design. So it's more or less like you have to give us few sketches of some of your work that you've done and submit at the point of your application before you can actually be considered for that particular course. So once you've actually met the entry requirements and our course tutor are actually fine with accepting you, let's assume you're applying for those courses that requires portfolio interview, the next stage is for you to ensure you meet the entry requirements of the courses. Most of our courses require a minimum of 2-2, except some few courses that require 2-1. So once you've met the entry requirements, the academic requirements, the English language requirements, the next step is for you to accept your offer. You'll be given an application portal after you've submitted an application where you'll be able to monitor the progress of your application. So once an offer is made to you, you'll see that on the application portal and you'll be able to accept the offer on the application portal. Then the next stage is for you to pay your deposits, and after you've paid your deposits, you've met your offer condition. The next stage is for you to actually start preparing yourself to get a CAS. And before you can get a CAS at Teesside University, you have to show us your bank statements showing the balance of your tuition fee and living expenses maintained for 28 days as per the UKVI requirements before a CAS can be assigned to you. And another important thing you need to note is that these bank statements are actually sent for verification with the bank head office from our office to ensure that the bank statement you've provided is genuine before a CAS can be assigned to you. Because I previously mentioned that Teesside University is actually UKVI compliance, and the level of our visa refusals is very low. So let's say, for instance, an applicant provided a bank statement that is fake, and from our office, this was not checked, and the applicant used that bank statement to apply for a visa. Obviously, UKVI are going to verify the bank statement. And if the bank statement turns out to be fraudulent, the applicant is actually such person is going to get a visa refusal and at the same time gets a 10-year ban from the UK. So for us to ensure that all these things don't happen, we actually ensure that we actually carry out all these checks before a CAS can be assigned to them. And another thing I actually forgot to mention is some of our applicants might be asked to do a qualification check. So qualification check has to do with us checking, do you actually have, if you claim you have a bachelor's degree from University of Lagos, we might ask you to do a qualification check, whereby we would actually verify that from Unilag that you actually graduated from Unilag, and this degree certificate you presented to us is actually genuine and was issued by UKVI, just for us to ensure that we've done all the checks ahead of the visa application, just so we can avoid any issues that might cause an applicant to get a visa refusal when they apply for a visa with UKVI. So after you've gotten your visa, obviously the next thing is for you to prepare your arrival, book your travel, and obviously then the enrollment and the orientation program while you're already at the UK. So I've mentioned about the tuition fee, £17,000 for 1 year master's, then £20,000 for the 2-year master's, in which you get to pay £10,000 per year. The installment plan is either you pay 1 installment, 3 installments, or 5 installments with an initial deposit of £4,000. Then if you want to submit your application, these are the key documents we would require from you to submit an application. Please don't mind offer processing time 1 to 2 weeks. It's just to put the checks for applicants that requires an interview. Some of them that might need to send to school. So we just tend to put 1 to 2 weeks. But basically, if you're applying for courses like international management, human resource management, ME education, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, as long as we don't have to send this application over to the academic school, or if you don't need an interview, be rest assured, if you're applying even through one of our trusted agents, you'd get your offer within 1 to 2 working days. So you need to provide your degree certificate, official transcript. So I understand that there might be concerns about students getting their official transcript from their school. So one thing you actually don't really need to worry about it. If you're applying for our master's program and you have your degree certificate, not your statement of results, you don't really need to provide your official transcripts. But if you're applying for, let's say, our top-up courses, or if you're applying for an undergraduate course and you have an ND and you intend to go for a year one of our undergraduate courses, you would need to provide your transcripts. But if you're applying for a master's program and you have your degree certificates, you don't really have to worry about getting your official transcript, because I know at times that can be an hassle contacting your school to give you your official transcripts. but just few of our courses would require you to provide official transcripts. So that's if you are trying to apply for project management, like the example I made, and you are coming from a business background. So you don't even have to get the official transcript. If you are able to get the student's copy of the transcript for that shows all your grades and the courses you've studied over the course of the period, they would accept that. It's just for us to send to the academic school and check. The only time we would ask you to provide your official transcript is if you don't have your degree certificate and you are making use of your statement of results. So it's important for you to provide the official transcript at that point. So we need you to also provide your international passport. Another thing you need to know that your international passport needs to be valid 6 months, like after your course started. So let's assume you are going for January intake and your passport is going to expire in February. A class will not be assigned on that particular passport. We would ask you to provide a new international passport. So they need to be up to 6 months period after your course start date on your international passport. And you need to provide your CV, your personal statements. We are requesting for the CV in the sense that some applicants might, let me use example, like our data science. We know IT is now the big thing. Some applicants might have a biology background and want to apply for MSc data science, and the person has adequate work experience with certification. So rather than our admissions team just rejecting the application outrightly that the applicant did not meet the entry requirements because you did not provide your CV. If you've submitted your CV during the application, the admissions team might want to take a second look and decide to send it to the course tutor to advise that, okay, this is the experience this person have. Do you think this experience would help mitigate the person not even having a background in computing in the first place to be able to study this particular course in data science? So that's actually why it is important that you also provide your CV in your application. And if you are looking at studying some of our IT courses, although there are some courses that have conversion, so in case you don't actually have work experience, so if you are thinking of coming to study data science, we have applied data science for people that actually don't have any background in computing or they don't have any work experience relating to IT. You might want to consider our course like applied data science. Or if you are trying to go into artificial intelligence, you might want to consider our applied artificial intelligence. Also, we also have IT project management. Anybody, whether you have a computing background or not, can consider the IT project management. If you want to consider project management, but you want the IT flavor added to it, you might want to consider going for IT project management. And if you're a married female or maybe a male person that actually changed their names along the line, so maybe the name on your degree certificate is different from what you have in your international passport, you need to provide a name change document. If you are married, if you're a female and you change your name because of your marriage, you need to provide your marriage certificate and affidavit to this fact. But if you're a male and you actually did not change your name because of marriage, maybe due to personal reasons, you need to provide an affidavit to address this. In the UK, or for us at Teesside University, don't let me generalize, we don't accept a newspaper publication as a name change document. So it has to be either the marriage certificate and the affidavit, or you provide the affidavit. So if you have like discrepancy in the date of birth on your O-level results, you need to also provide an affidavit if it is different from what you have on your international passport. Or maybe your name was not properly spelled in your O-level results or your degree certificate, you also need to provide an affidavit. So another thing, again, is that if you have a previous visa refusers, any country, please don't be shy not to declare it. I understand that you might feel like if you declare the visa refuser, your application might be refused. That's not totally true, because you declaring you have this visa refuser would actually enable the university to actually do the check before a class is assigned to you. So let's say, for instance, you have a UK visa refuser from 2023, and the reason for the refuser is based on you providing a fraudulent document. Obviously, that's already a 10-year ban, and you actually did not declare it to the school. The school did not get to do any check on your immigration because you did not declare. You've mentioned you've not previously applied, you've not come to the UK before, you've not even had any visa refuser. So the school is assigning a class to you, and at the end of the day, you submitted the visa application. Your visa is refused outrightly just because you already have a ban because of the fraudulent documents. So for us to avoid all these kind of scenarios, or some of us might have a visa refuser, maybe due to credibility, or maybe due to maintenance, it's important that you actually just declare this thing so that our compliance team would actually check the risk of, if they assign a CAS to you, is the risk of this person's visa application going to be unsuccessful? Is it going to be high or not? It's for them to actually check this thing to be sure that, okay, they've done all the checks before they go ahead to assign a CAS to the applicant, so that their visa application process would actually be very seamless. And if you've previously traveled to the UK before, please declare it in your application. It's just for the school to check to do all their checks before the CAS is assigned. Because obviously, let me just use like a personal experience. We've seen an applicant that had a previous UK visa. The applicant did not declare that they've traveled to the UK before. The person who was traveled to the UK as a dependent of a student. And one thing as at then is, if you are going to the UK as a dependent, obviously, it's not all the NHS fee that is free. There are some certain things that you need to pay for. So this particular person actually did a surgery in the UK while they are there. And because they felt it was free, they actually did not pay. They actually did not pay the fee. So it was recorded that they had a debt that they were owing NHS. So at the point the applicants applied for a new visa, the visa was refused because they had a previous debt. So until the applicants clear the debt, so any new visa application the person is applying for to the UK would always be refused unless the debt is cleared. So it's actually just important to, let's assume the applicant has actually declared this and the school have actually saw this, they would have advised the applicant, okay, this is what you need to do. So if you have evidence that the debt was cleared for you, you really need to clear these things with this particular hospital, so that once you know this thing is cleared, when you submit your visa application will be successful. The applicant would have actually avoided that, getting a new visa refusal at that point. So it's just for us to be, and one thing about UK visa application is just honesty. Just declare whatever you have. Your past experience obviously would not determine your new application, but it's just in some few cases, like the kind of the debt, or maybe they've given you a band, that's when they've considered, if you refuse a visa based on maintenance, that, okay, maybe you made a mistake with the calculation, that would actually not impact your new application. But as long as the school knows you had this refusal and they've checked, they've advised you, okay, you were refused based on maintenance, and it's actually because you actually didn't calculate this thing properly, they would advise you and guide you on how to calculate your living expenses. So avoid such error again when you are submitting a visa application. And that's actually why it is also important. Please apply with an agent that you know knows this process of submitting the application and submitting the visa application as well. So I've mentioned about our entry requirements, that some of our courses, majority of our courses require you to have a 2-2 in your first degree. And if you're applying for a foundation course, you need to have your O levels. So let's assume you're applying for courses under business and science. You need to have a minimum of 2 Bs and 3 Cs, including mathematics. But if you're applying for courses under social sciences, other creative arts, under health, you need to have just a minimum of 6 Cs, including mathematics. And if you want to apply for, let's say, year 1, you have your ND, all you need to have is an ND grade of 2.8 over 4.0 or 3.5 over 5.0. And we also consider people trying to do transfer credits. So let's assume you've done HND and you don't want to start from year 1, obviously. If you have a minimum of 2.8 in your HND results over 4.0, you'll be able to, you might be considered for our starting from year 3. Or if you have your HND that you have 2.0 over 4.0, you might be considered to start from year 2 of the particular course, as long as the course you're applying for and the new one actually kind of align with each other as well. So for the English language requirements, like I mentioned, we accept diverse English language results for our courses. But if you are coming from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, we accept your O-level results with a minimum of 6 in English in your WAEC or NECO, except some of our courses that requires higher grade. So if you're applying through an agent, they'll guide you on which of our courses will require you to have maybe a C5 or C4 in your English language ability. So except if you actually don't meet the English language ability in your WAEC or NECO results, that's actually when you'll be asked to either take an IELTS or to take a PTE test or to take a TOEFL test. So as long as you have your whole level results and you meet the English language results, you would not be asked to take an IELTS. So another thing again is to avoid is that the UK always try as much as possible to make use of your most recent results. So if you upload 2 results, let's assume you recently write an academic IELTS and you have your O-level. Your academic IELTS is written 2023 and is valid for 2 years. And you have your WAEC results that you did in 2000, which is valid for a lifetime. And because you have an IELTS, you are required to have an IELTS of 6.5 with no band below 5.5 in all the 4 bands. You now had 5.0 in listening. You did not meet the English language requirements because your IELTS, which is your recent results, you failed the listening. In that case, they will ask you to provide another IELTS, irrespective of you having your WAEC result. So one thing we always advise applicants, please, when you are trying to apply, please apply with an O-level result or an English result where you actually have passed the English language ability. So you don't have to consider the year, apart from the IELTS that is only valid for 2 years. So if you have your WAEC or NECO and you've actually passed your English, you have a B3, you have B3 in your WAEC and you have D7 in your NECO, please, we need just the WAEC that you passed your English, that you have a B3. That's why we are asking you to provide the O-level results, to check your English language results. We are not checking your O-level results to check if you've actually passed your chemistry or your biology. We're only trying to check your English language results. So another thing you need to note is if you're applying for courses like nursing, you need to have a minimum of C6 in your mathematics. So if you don't have a C6, you will not be eligible. Apart from you having a bachelor's degree to be considered for the master's, whether you're going for an undergraduate or a master's, you really need to have a C6 minimum in your mathematics before you can be considered for the nursing program. Okay, so this is the process, the application process which I've mentioned. You provide your outstanding check, you complete a qualification check, we'll share you the link. You have to complete a mandatory questionnaire. So the questionnaire is like a credibility interview, but at Teesside University, we do the mandatory questionnaire. But if you're applying for our London campus, you have to do both the questionnaire and a credibility interview before an unconditional offer can be assigned to you. Excuse me. Before an unconditional offer can be assigned to you. And then before a CAS can also be assigned to you, you need to provide a bank statement, which will be sent for verification from our office before a CAS can also be assigned to you as well. Okay. So should in case if you're asked to do qualification check, obviously your offer letter will carry that to show you need to conduct a qualification check. But at times, because qualification check might have limitation because due to some response time of some universities, we might have some universities that take very long period of time to respond. And because of that, qualification check decides to just remove such universities off their platform. So some students might not be able to actually verify on qualification checks their results for certain institution. So you actually don't need to worry about that. If you have that issue, all you need to do is to just contact your agent where they will liaise with us, and from our office, we'll carry out the verification directly with the university at no cost, except if your university require you to pay the money. And just to be clear, we would not actually ask you to pay any money to any of our staff in our office, because obviously if your school requires you to pay money before they can carry out the verification, the payment will be made by you directly into your university's account and not to Teesside University. So there are some of our engineering courses that requires you to apply for an ATAS when you are given an offer. So when you have applied for courses like aerospace engineering, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, oil and gas, petroleum and sustainable energy and clean technology, you would need to apply for an ATAS, and this will be stated on your offer letter, and the link for you to apply for the ATAS would actually be on your offer letter as well. So we would always ensure we guide applicants throughout the application, and also your agent is going to be there to support you along the way if you have questions regarding to the application process. So the credibility check obviously has to do with your mandatory questionnaire or the credibility interview, and you providing your maintenance check for a CAS to be assigned to you. Okay. So I think that is the end of this presentation. So in case you have any questions, you can just let I know. I'm still on call to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was actually very detailed. Over to you on the question. I think we should just go straight into the questions so that we can provide answers.
Thank you so much, Abolanle, for such a wonderful and insightful session. Indeed, it was really, really packed with a lot of detail. However, let's go over to the questions. A lot of students do have a lot of questions in our chat box, and we'll be starting with the very first person. His name is Adebayo. I don't know if he's a woman or a man, but the question goes thus, saying, for an applicant who got an offer to start by January 2025, but couldn't meet up with financial implications, can such admission be deferred to September 2025?
Okay, so it's actually due to the number of applications we have on the pipeline, and actually because of the audit process of the university. So most of the time, if you've actually not paid your deposits, your application would not be deferred to the next intake. But you actually don't actually need to worry about that maybe because your application was not deferred, you will not be considered for January intake. All you need to do is just, if you know you can't meet up with January, with this particular September intake, and you already owed an offer, you've not paid the deposit, and you're looking at January and you're sure that you're going to meet the offer conditions at that, all you just need to do is to withdraw the application for this September and submit a new one. Your application will not be judged based on your previous application that you submitted. So make a fresh decision on the new application you submitted. And if you meet the entry requirements, obviously with the same course you're applying for, a new offer will be issued for you for January.
All right, thank you so
Sorry,
much.
just before we go forward, so of course that means, because a number of times where we've had cases like that, the school always advises for students to pay their deposits and then defer to make it easier for their deferment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so over to the next question from Tariela. The person says that they've been offered an admission and you are yet to know how much tuition waiver or discount is available for them, knowing that this would assist them plan their financials. So over to you, Abolanle, for this.
Okay, so I'm sorry that our discount is not fully announced for January yet, but then I'm sure our scholarship team are actually working on it. And so once scholarships available for January 2025 is finalized by the team, it will be announced on the platform, and applicants eligible for that would actually have a revised offer on their application portal.
Okay.
So just to clarify this, because you mentioned earlier that it is not automatic. It's only those who are considered eligible for the scholarship. So I believe that would mean within the next few weeks, if there is no update on the scholarship, if it goes live, then the student is not eligible for it. Yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah. All right. So the next question goes to us. What is the tuition deposit and payment plan? That is the question that came in during the session. But I don't know if you want to address that.
I think she's dealt in details with that already. So if the person still needs further clarification on that, I think she's talked about it twice already.
Yeah.
Then I think, except you want to go into it again and just give a summary. But otherwise, I think we can go ahead.
And so the deposit is just £4,000, and you can get to pay your tuition fee in full, or you can choose to pay in 3 installments or in 5 installments, if that helps. So as long as you are enrolled, you have to discuss the payment plan, whichever one you want to go for with the finance team while you've arrived in the UK.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that clarification. The next question says, can a 2008 BSc certificate be used for an MSc admission? Another question within the same question saying, can my dependents follow me if I opt for a research-based MSc? And how many years does it last? And the last question from this same person says, how much is the tuition and discount for international business management?
Okay, so for the first question, your degree certificate obviously does not have an expiring date, except maybe it's a certification. So if you have a BSc certificate from 2000 or from 1990, you can use that to apply for a master's program. So concerning the research-based master, so although we have just two research-based courses, but then the research-based courses that we have are not fully researched. So applicants can use that to apply with their dependents. So except the UKVI requirement is that except if the course is fully research based, that's when they can use that to apply with their dependents. Although we have doctorate courses and we offer PhD courses that would actually allow you to apply with your dependents if you already have a master's program. So you can opt to actually apply for a PhD program, or if you have over 3 or 5 to 5 year work experience in management, you can decide to go for a doctorate of business administration. That is at level 8, and it will obviously allow you to travel with your dependent as well. So if you are trying to go for our international business management course, so the tuition fee for most of our courses is the same thing. If you are going for the 1 year masters, you get to pay £17,000. And if you are going for the 2 year masters of the same course, you get to pay £10,000 per year. And the tuition deposit is still the same, which is £4,000.
Okay. Thank you so much for that explanation. So the next question from Remy says, do you offer scholarships and funding for PhD programs in social sciences?
Okay, so because it is PhD application, so although I've actually seen some applicants that have actually gotten scholarship, but then it's obviously has to do with the particular supervisor you are working with and if the person has scholarship available with them. So if you are trying to apply for PhD program, so the first thing is for you to actually discuss with an eligible supervisor that you feel willing to up to supervise your course. And if the person has agreed and has advised you that yes, there's funding for this particular research, then you can now go ahead to submit the application. Because obviously the PhD courses is actually different from our doctorate courses. For the PhD courses, you need to have a supervisor on ground who is willing to actually supervise you for that course. Unlike the doctorate courses that has a particular start intake, like some of our doctorate courses have September intake, but for a PhD course, we might choose to start it at any time. So there's flexibility. So it's just between you and the particular supervisor and the academic school that you intend to apply for. So as long as the person has given you the go ahead that there is funding, this particular person is actually going to work with you on how you can actually get the funding for that particular course if you are going for a PhD course.
Okay. Just to add to this, please, for those who will be considering PhD process, it's not just it's not like the MSc, like she said. You actually have to contact them directly, and it could take a little bit of time. So we always advise students going for PhD to start early enough. Try to go through the sites yourself because you are the only one who understands your research area. You will know how to find possible supervisors who can supervise you in that area you're considering. Then reach out to them by yourself. Agents can't actually reach out to the supervisors on your behalf. So you will have to use, of course, we're here to support you, guide you through the step-by-step process of course, what you need to do first. Then you have to make sure your proposals are really up to bar, like really good. You have to understand what they expect in terms of their research. All those details are usually on the university site, and that will guide you to putting together a very solid proposal. If it's not strong enough, they would most likely delay you or not even respond to you in some cases. So please start early for PhD interests. Okay, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. So we have another external question coming in. Well, not in the chat box, but it's saying, do you have an MSc oil and gas for your London campus for the mid-year intake?
No, we don't have that at the London campus.
Okay, so it's, or is it actually available at the main campus either, in case the person wants to
Okay, yeah. So
go
for
ahead?
the May intake, there is possibility it should run, but for now, we've not yet gotten that. But there's approval that courses would run in May for London, but for Middlesbrough, the school has to agree to if they want to actually run the particular
Mm,
course in May. So maybe by January would actually, or maybe before December, would have information of the courses that would likely run in our main campus ahead of May.
okay, okay. Thank you so much for that information. Actually, the next question is a very long list of questions, but for the sake of time, I would actually take the ones that I feel like are very, very important. The person said that they went through your website and noticed that they did not see any MBA related courses. Is it that it's not available?
We actually have Masters of Business Administration at Teesside University.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So I think this question should be directed to Miss Catherine. The person is asking how much is required for a proof of funds. This
So of course nobody can give you that information directly until we decide what you're going for, which campus you're going to. Of course, you know that the proof of fund needed is your tuition fee minus your deposit plus the living expense of the location you're going to be studying. And what we always tell students to do, we don't use the Owanda rate to calculate what you need in the funds because you know how unstable that is. It's just like the UK weather, if we may say. So what we have to advise you, we use a little bit extra amount on what we see on Owanda and advise you to use that so that in case the period you're waiting for your funds to be 28 days, anything happens to the funds, you are not impacted at all and you can meet up with that intake you're working towards. So of course, one-on-one, we will definitely drop our numbers at the end of this session so that we can start. I know most of you are already in touch with us on WhatsApp. So you can chat up with us. We'll give you an accurate calculation. If you're looking, of course, to go into Teesside for January, we'll calculate that. And just so that you guys know, if you're going this January, please, you need to start very early because the new policy has come up again on the living cost. It will be going up by 2nd of January. It means that anybody who applies for their visa from 2nd of January upward, the living expense is going to be calculated at a higher rate. Okay. Now, if you want to use the normal living expense of 12,006 for London, 9,207 for outside London, then we advise you, please do not do the Nigerian thing of waiting till the last minute. It's not going to work for you this intake. Whatever your decisions you have to make regarding applying, please start now. Let us apply now. Offers will come out quickly. We understand the financial situation. We know that it is not easy. Okay, but we actually will encourage you to please take your steps faster. You'll see that our team will advise you on the timeline because we've done an accurate calculation. If you're going to be meeting up with the current living expense, you need to actually have your funds in 28 days within a period of time. Otherwise, you won't be able to meet up. So, of course, one-on-one, our team would advise you on exactly how to ensure that you do not miss, the current rate, and we do not have to start calculating all over again for the new rate. Okay. Okay.
okay.
Go
Thank you
ahead,
so
please.
much, Mrs. Catherine, for that. So the next question is saying, in case of any visa denial, for example, would there be any refunds from the school or based on your application?
Okay, so that's a very dicey question, but then yeah. So if you have a visa refuser, so it's in two scenarios. What is the reason for the refuser? That's actually one thing our finance team would actually check before a refund can be actually be given to the applicant. And in situations where the applicant is able to apply for an admin review, our team would advise them of it. So it's like the example I made before. The error was on you, on the applicant. The applicant provided a fake document and end up having a refusal because of that. Obviously, this is actually based on the student's doing and is actually part of our refund policy. In such situation whereby a class has been assigned and the reason for the refusal is actually based on the student's doing, a refund would actually not be made to such applicants. But in
Yes.
all cases, if a visa refusal is based on UKVI's error and you don't want to progress, or maybe there's a delay in your visa application and you actually didn't get the visa on time, and by the time they want to issue you the visa, the school obviously, when it's past the course start date and a visa is not given, obviously UK school standard, they have to report, tell UKVI that it is past their enrollment time and they can no longer take the person, even though it is not the student's fault. In such situation, if the school is withdrawing the class at that point, based on that reason, a refund would actually be given to the applicant.
Yes. Thank you. Just to add to that, so that you don't think it's a Teesside thing, it's actually across most universities in the UK. They will not, if you've lied in your application, provided fake documentation, you're refused on those bases, they will not give you a refund. And that's just to discourage people from taking those steps towards their visa application, because it actually counts against the universities. For every refusal against the school, it counts against the universities. So they have to protect their reputation as well as their accreditation with the UKVI. So you have to be very cautious of whatever decisions you make. And just so that you know, with us, we take you through the process 100%. We do not have refusals because students who work with us, listen to us, always have their 100% visa success rate with the UK. We are very detailed in our process, and that would help you to give you a better assurance. And we always say, please come clean with us. If it's going to be good, we'll advise you. If it's not going to work, we tell you. We have had students who had previous refusals, like 10 years ban before. Of course, they had gone through the 10-year ban and we applied for them and they got their visa. So hiding information is actually not good. So please come clean with us and we'll be able to tell you, okay, this is it. This is what is going to work. This will not work. It's very important for you to have someone guiding you in honesty, because lying does not help the whole entire process at all. So yes, as you said, it's actually across the board. There's no point wasting your money. I can imagine how much sweat you must have put together to put in your deposit and then losing it at the end of the day. So please, we'll make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Okay, please go ahead.
All right, Ma. So the next question is, which of your programs allows you to, a person to move with their family?
Okay, so for now, just our doctorate and PhD courses.
Okay, okay, okay.
And in some cases, if you are a sponsored applicant.
Okay.
Yes.
Based based on either the external
Like the TED
scholarship or
funds, like the TED
the
fund
tech fund.
scholarships and all
Yes.
of that. And it must
From
be indicated on the letter that you are going with family.
Okay. Okay. So this other person is these other few questions I'm about to ask are based on individual courses that these people have. So the very first one is, with a BSc in political science, can they be able to get an MSc in international business management or international human resource management?
Yes, you can. Our international business courses, international business management, human resource are all conversion courses. So
Okay.
any applicants can apply from any academic background.
Okay. Okay, so the next question, still under the same category, the person is asking, can I apply for an MSc biomedical science with a BSc in biochemistry?
Yes, you can.
Okay, okay. So this person also, still under the same category of question, is saying, can I apply for a degree in nursing with with an RN in nursing in Nigeria?
Certainly.
That's a registered nurse.
Nurse, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
BSc registered nursing.
Yes,
Yes.
she's already a registered nurse.
Yeah, sure, you can use that.
Okay.
We accept even people from English background, really. So why won't we accept somebody that's a BSc nursing?
No, she doesn't have a BSc nursing. She's just a
She's just
registered.
a registered nurse for
Oh, she's not
now.
talking
No,
about the MSc nursing, adult nursing, which is the
But she wants to.
for undergraduate, bachelor's.
BSc.
Yes.
Okay, yes, BSc, you can
Yeah.
apply with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So the next question is the 1 year or 2 year master's thesis based? And if yes, can we contact the faculties prior to application?
No, they are just taught master's program. So you don't need to contact. a supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she already answered that, saying that there are only two courses available that are Masters
Research.
of Research, but they're not fully thesis based. Yes. And
Okay.
so they can't go with family on that basis, only the PhD level. Mm.
Okay. So the very two last questions. The next question is: does Teesside accept NABTEB, the NABTEB results?
No, we don't.
Okay. So the next
Just sorry,
one.
just to expand on that, NAPTEP is actually just accepted in Nigeria. Most schools abroad do not accept NAPTEP. They do not recognize it at all.
So is either you have an O level, that's your
YX, O
work,
level,
or
or
your
you write an
NECO.
English test. Yes.
HND, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is actually fine. But the very last question, or another question, is also coming in saying a postgraduate in education with QTS status is now how many years?
Okay,
Or is
it's
how many
less
years?
than a year.
Okay.
It's less than a year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the very last question, which will be taken from Augustine, says: does Teesside University accept a BSc education for their MBA?
Yes, as long as you have up to 2 years managerial experience.
Okay. Okay. That
Sorry,
is.
I saw a question at a point. I'm not sure. Someone was asking if they take BSc for PhD. Did you see
Yes.
that? I
Yes.
think I saw that.
Yes. There's a BSc question for a PhD.
Mhm.
If you can take that from
So are you
BSc.
referring to PhD or doctorate? Because, okay, so it's actually two things. The PhD, the supervisor might agree to that
Okay.
if you contact them. But for the doctorate, previously for our public health, as long as the BSc is recent and you are able to provide a proposal and personal statement and your interview is okay, they might consider you. But more recently, you need to really have an MSc in that field before they can consider you for most of some of our doctorate programs. So for the PhD, there is possibility as it's actually going to be based on the course tutor. That's the supervisor you contacted. You've allowed the supervisor to know your condition and they've actually checked and maybe they feel like, okay, this person is going to be a bright student. There's no point. I can take you on a PhD to be up to 5 years rather than you because some of our PhDs might last maybe 3 years, 4 years, and they might want to take you in up to 5 years just because you have a BSc.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So still under that question, for the QTS status, like for a postgraduate in education with a QTS status, a follow-up question to that was: does it qualify you for a postgraduate work permit?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I think those are all the questions that are there for now.
No, I think there's one more question you might be missing. Just for the sake of clarity, people are asking about the difference between PhD and doctorate. So you may want to enlighten them a bit about that.
Okay.
Okay. So the PhD is actually fully researched. So it's more or less like for the PhD, you might want to do PhD in social science, but maybe at the end of the day, you are being a professional, you are streamlining it to a particular point of social science. And at the end of the day, your certificates might not say you have a PhD in social science. They might say you have a PhD in something you specialized in. So most times you see that we don't actually advertise the courses we have available for our PhD because you can actually coin your PhD topic yourself, what you actually want to do based on the research. Unlike the doctorates, yeah, it's more or less, it's part of being taught and research at the same time. So it's not fully researched. So if you are doing our MBA, does not mean that you are coming to do all research this thing because there are some teaching experience you're actually still going to do. It's going to be taught and research at the same time. And the MBA is more or less kind of professional. You doing doctorate of MBA does not really guarantee that you intend to go into academic fully. You might be doing doctorate of business administration to actually help you in your future job application or stuff like that. You might be doing doctorate of public health, but that does not actually make you fully an academic. So if you're trying to consider full academic, you want to opt for the PhD program. But if you're trying to look at something more industrial, something more professional, the doctorate is there because it's more of thought and research at the same time.
Okay. Thank you so much for that explanation. So another question just came in, and the person is saying, I have a BSc in architecture with a NAPTEP O level. How does he apply for masters, especially in areas where he doesn't have a WAEC or a NECO?
So at that point, that's actually when he might need to consider taking an IELTS or the TOEFL or the PTA.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. There's
I
no
think
alternative. You just have to write an English test or take the next GC.
exactly, and you're taking the next DC. Okay, I feel like those are all the questions that we have for this session. And we want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you that have been able to make it to this session. We know that it's quite a busy time, to be honest, but we really appreciate. Miss Catherine, do you have anything you would like to tell us?
Yes, I mean, we've said it all. Teesside, beautiful university. I know we had a couple of people who were questioning, oh, the fees. Something happened last time, and people were complaining about the fees. It was on our page actually, and people were saying, oh, they did this, and I said, when we said to them, we said, see, universities also protect themselves in terms of their tuition fees. If people are not paying the tuition fees, they have to act because, like we always joke around, they don't run on air. Air can pay the sal and can help fund their research. So tuition fees is what actually helps the school. And just like Bolane said, you know, if you have issues with your payments, don't keep quiet and ignore the school. If there is an issue, approach the finance team and they'll be able to work around with you. Okay, now they've brought back their payment plan. They've made it more flexible for students to actually, settle into school, I think that's a very considerate thing they have done, considering the fact that a number of universities have increased their tuition, their initial deposit this time around, and also reduce the payment plan. Teesside doing that shows their concern about international students. So take advantage of this, okay? This is January intake, open now for application. Please go ahead. Don't waste time anymore. Our chats are open for you to start sending your documents for application. Of course, we'll advise you on the deadlines once they've been provided to us. We'll be able to guide you through, but nothing is stopping you from starting your application now. If there's one thing missing in your documentation, of course, our team will be able to advise you, and we most likely will be able to proceed with one or two things. It depends on what is missing. We'll advise you further on that. Okay. So if you're going for January, please don't waste time. You don't want Nigeria to happen again with increased exchange rates. Okay, our living costs hitting you for January. So thank you so much again, and let's go ahead. If you can go ahead now.
All right. So thank you so much, Mrs. Catherine. Thank you so much, Abolanle, for such an insightful session. Teesside is such a beautiful university. And thank you to every single person that made out their time to join us today, despite your busy schedule. We really appreciate. Finally, the applications are ongoing, deadlines are fast approaching. So we advise you start sending in your documents. We are ready for you to come and start your applications with us, and trust us, it's actually free. Our processing is free. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to come, send in your documents, have your money ready, and we'll process it for you. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes, affordable living expenses. I mean,
And
but like, before you go, I mean, we hear this a lot sometimes. I want to know what are the opportunities in Middlesbrough? Some people just feel like work opportunities is just in London, Birmingham, the big cities. So can you just give us that, give them some more extra details about, of course, life opportunities in Middlesbrough?
Okay, so I understand that people have the perspective. Okay, London, obviously, it's more or less like you saying Lagos is home of
Exactly.
opportunity.
It's the only place.
It's the only place for you. But obviously, if you're actually looking at a place whereby you would actually get a job, you would make your money, and actually you would actually be living comfortably. Because we've actually, personally, there are some few students maybe that have actually been close to over time. And some of them are fully settled at this side and they've even graduated up to now. The funny thing is that they've actually refused to leave Middlesbrough to go to London or Birmingham because obviously it's not to them, they feel like I would rather be getting my 15 pounds per hour than go to London and get my 20 pounds per hour. And at the end of the day, I will end up spending more than half of what I've earned on living and rent in London. And what do I have to save? So I might say I'm better off staying here and be better than people in London, because they have friends in London that are coming back to them to ask for loan, to ask for this, to ask for that. Obviously, this is off the record. I hope I'm not being recorded. To advance people, like if you are coming from Nigeria and you're actually trying to look for to settle, I understand that yes, everybody wants to japa and all that. But if you are just going there trying to actually find better means for yourself to get yourself settled ahead of time, like obviously staying around the Northeast region, around Teesside University, obviously, is actually more or less like the best thing you can actually decide to do. Because apart from the fact that you would actually be around people, right? But then you would earn your money. You actually get to pay little on accommodation, little on feeding. At the same time, you get to actually get to save more at the same time. Till you are able to be like, okay, I'm not a big boss and I want to move to London. Who doesn't want that, right? But then if you are just trying to grow, trying to get yourself settled, consider places like, it's more or less like I'm in Lagos and I would rather want to, I'm still earning blue. I would rather want to go to Oyo State or Osun State than being in Lagos and be living comfortably than me coming to Lagos and not actually feeling okay. And it's not even about the cost of living. Look at actually what Teesside University is actually trying to do when it comes to learning. There are some of these high-ranking universities that are actually not doing this. And for the fact that the UK government are actually seeing the efforts these universities actually putting into place. I think there is actually one time last year that Rishi actually went to Teesside University. That's actually because of the energy project, because this particular thing is part of the initiative of Teesside University. And that's actually part of the reason why they actually invested in the net zero emission center. So it's more or less like this particular university, though, even though that it is actually a university that is actually still growing, they're actually trying to see themselves in pushing out excellence, in ensuring that the graduates they're actually producing can actually compete with actually people that are actually coming from the Russell Group University. Look at the TEF gold rating. Lots of universities don't have the TEF gold. We are actually proud to say that we actually beat some Russell Group University to having the TF goods. It's not like we are bragging, but it's actually like, it's a big thing for us because we've always tried as much as possible to improve in learning, to invest in facilities that would actually enable the study. And if you're trying to look at Teesside University, compare it to other universities. You know, one thing about UK schools is that most of their schools are not actually located in the same place. Like, even though they are saying their campuses, they have only one campus. Let's say, for instance, in Birmingham, the university might be, a campus might be in, let's say, Ikeja, and another one might be as far as Surulere, and they are all within Middlesbrough. But compared to Birmingham, sorry, compared to Teesside University, all buildings you need to access are just within walking distance. So it's more or less like you are still in a Nigerian university that is just not gated. That's how it is, because every building, every facility, every faculty are within the same area. But it's just that obviously they are not gated. That's one major thing about UK universities. They actually are not usually gated. So you see all things around you. And when they are talking about entrepreneurship, consider the likes of Middlesbrough. There are actually lots of shops and people that are actually building themselves entrepreneur. Like, I think the last time we were at Teesside University, there was actually this Kenya coffee that was actually now being made within Middlesbrough. The person actually saw that there's actually this gap for African coffees, because obviously white people love their coffee. And some of them try to order for these things back from Africa. There's some few of them that love the African coffee. But this person actually understands the need for the gap in this coffee business and actually thought of this idea and actually brought it to Teesside. This person is obviously an alumni of Teesside University. And I'm not even talking about Middlesbrough alone. Okay, fine. Let me still sell our London campus. Our London campus is actually housed within the likes of Loughborough University. So if you are in coming to our London campus, it's not just like it's only Teesside University students that will be there. They are students of Loughborough University within that same building that Teesside University is housed. And another good thing about that particular building, where Teesside London campus is that the building is mixed of universities, entrepreneurs, and Teesside University has found ways to actually collaborate with all these entrepreneurs and industries within that building. So that's actually why the learning modules, learning environment for the London campus is different from that of Middlesbrough. That's why the likes of our oil and gas engineering courses cannot fully be run in the London campus, because obviously those kind of courses will need a lot of equipment. And the way the London campus is more or less like trying to prepare people for the industry. So that's actually why we have more of our business course and our IT related course. So the more or less like the tech companies, some business companies in that building. And some of our students, apart from them learning, they have actually opportunity to have one-on-one discussion with all these companies within that same building with them. So it's not just about us trying to want international students. We are also trying to build that the students are actually coming and are getting value for the investments they've actually put out for their study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abolanle. Thank you for your time today. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Bye to everybody. Thank you so much.